Hello and welcome to the True to Life podcast. We're back in person. Very excited. This is episode 49 and I'm joined by Gina Dudley. I've got to get to know her a little bit more this year working in PSAC. She's the president of PSAC and is on the women's tennis team at Dominican, and she's going to fill in a lot more about her bio, but very excited to have her with me on the pod today to speak from the student athlete perspective. And she advocates for student athletes every single day at the college level. So a great person that represents the mission and everything that I've been behind with this podcast. So Gina, so great to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is my first podcast, so I'm excited.
It's going to be good. I'm excited as well. So let's just start off. What got you into tennis? Because I think that was probably the beginning for you.
Yeah, no, that was. It's funny. It was actually my parents just needed somewhere to put me after school. And there was a tennis clinic that was like 5 minutes from my school. They signed me up, and then my whole family is really competitive, so it was no surprise when I started liking it, and then I just started competing more and in the local tournaments, and then one thing led to another, and college tennis became the dream. So
at what point was it middle school, high school? The competitive nature probably took over a little bit.
Yeah.
But what made you want to push for, play at the collegiate level?
I think so when I was about 10-ish, I started competing in, like, I would travel to like Nevada and Utah and Washington a little bit, and then I don't know, we were on college campuses, we were on University of Utah's campus, and I liked the vibe of it, I liked the energy, and I remember asking my dad, like how do I get here? How do I make this my facility? And he just told me the basic: work hard, figure it out. And then I don't know. Now I'm a Penguin.
Penguin. So what brings you to California? Obviously, you grew up playing in Idaho. So what would you see as the biggest difference?
So I knew I wanted to get out of Idaho just for general, just going to college and experiencing something new. And so I knew I wanted to leave, and then I knew I wanted to play tennis. So it kind of narrowed my options because I didn't, at the time I was recruiting, I had no idea what I wanted to do career-wise. So I was like, okay, whatever place is gonna support me both academically and tennis-wise. And so Christina, my coach here, actually reached out to me. I had no idea Dominican even existed before she hit me up. And I was like, okay, it's a pretty location. Pretty location, lots to do here.
Check some boxes.
And I can play tennis, sure, sign me up.
No, I've spoken very highly of Dominican and how it's such a special environment to allow student athletes to kind of have whatever they choose, or they can pursue whatever it is they want in addition to their sport, or if it's just for their sport, then they get to do that. So It's a really cool opportunity. So I think that's one thing that all of us as Penguins can agree on.
Yeah, I think it's really unique. We have a athletic department where you're able to explore much more than just your sport, which I find, since I'm obviously not going to go pro in tennis once I'm done at the end of this year, I think that's one of the things I love about Dominican is how I can just do so many different things.
Absolutely. So taking it back to high school, what do you think was the highlight of your high school career? Obviously you went on to have a lot more highlights, but taking it back first.
Yeah, I think, I loved high school tennis because tennis is such an individual sport that the minute I got to be on a team, I was like, I love this. Everybody else is here for the same reason, the same goal. I actually won the individual state tournament twice. Oh, wow. So I think both. Thank you. So I think both of those experiences were, they're definitely tied for top high school tennis experience, whatever, because the tennis community is also so small that it's in those big moments in any sport really, when you can just feel the community and everybody's excited and you just did something awesome. That's the feeling that I think I work back towards now when I'm in college tennis. Yeah, trying to chase that high. You don't get that very often.
100%. I think for me it was when we won our league championship, and it was the first time in 10 years at the high school level, and that was the pinnacle of my basketball career. And I spoke about it on this podcast. I haven't necessarily reached it in college, but I still have a different respect and love for the game outside of that, but it is something that it's very hard to reach. And you know, student athletes know it's like once you get that, you're chasing for it.
Yeah, exactly.
So transitioning from high school to college, what do you think was the hardest part about that transition? I think a lot of people, those that be listening out there, younger student athletes, they definitely want to know.
Yeah, I think the biggest transition just generally was when I moved here. I don't have any family in the area. I don't have any friends who live in the area. So I moved from Boise, Idaho to San Rafael, California, which is, as you know, it's a pretty low-key area just generally, unless you want to go to...
Especially within the Bay Area.
Yeah.
It's kind of peeled off a little bit.
It's kind of, it's cute, but there's not much going on for a young person who just moved here. Yeah. So I think that was the biggest transition, was just figuring out, like, okay, I've always been independent, but like, who am I? Like, my mom's not here, like my dad's not here. And especially for like tennis stuff, like my dad was super involved. And then I was like, okay, well, if I want to practice, if I want to go do this, like, I don't just have my automatic, like, hey dad, let's go. Like, let's go get out there. Like,
it's different.
It is just a huge, like, the dramatic but like world-shattering difference where you...
I don't think it's dramatic.
It's like yeah, it's like it was this huge shift. So I think I'm definitely not the same person even remotely from when I was my freshman year, because it was just like, it almost felt like mistake after mistake after mistake, and I just kept having to get up and be like, okay, like, it's gonna get better. Like, now I won't make the same mistake twice. And like, and on my team, it was like figuring out, okay, we're ranked 1 through 6 when it's match day, and that's the people that are
coaches
playing.
Make those rankings.
Yeah, so it's like you're either line 1, line 2, line 3, and so on. And so learning how to focus on yourself but also focus on, you know, the team, that was another learning curve. But honestly, I think if I had to think, how did I get through it? It was just like being okay making mistakes, like understanding that mistakes are going to happen and just growing from them instead of letting them impact you in some sort of way.
I think you picked two. You had the personal adjustment and the sports adjustment, and it is both. Like from year and I feel like I'm going through, and something you said was like the finding out who you are. So that's like the personal adjustment that I've been making now, moving off of the dorms, because I spent my first 2 years living on campus in the dorms, and that's a different experience. I'm guessing you're off campus now, right? So that's another thing too, because you're starting to really step into adulthood a little bit more, and kind of that's like a whole nother chapter. So I think that's what's really special too on the back end of the student athlete journey, is you come in, you're still in the nest, like you're in the dorms, you're around other student athletes all day, but at some point when you peel off campus, it's a little bit more, because I found myself sometimes I'm finding out who I am when there's no one else around and it's just me.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to learn there.
No, there definitely is. And it's like on campus when you're surrounded by people like all the time, that was it's so much fun. But then you're right, it's like you get a second alone and you're like hold on, like wait, like I found myself actually like hitting people up being like, what do you want to do, like where are you? And then I was like, Gina, why are you trying to fill up literally every single minute of your free time? So that's definitely learning how to be alone.
Learning how to be alone. And I noticed when I'm at school, I've got the basketball hat. Maybe I'm in my classes, so I'm going to have to be a student. Maybe I'm throwing the PSAC hat if I'm talking to Amy or Phil. So at any point, I have to put on a different hat or represent a different group. But then when I'm alone, back at home, doing my own thing, I was okay, wait a second. It's just me here. I can relax for a second, regroup. And it's a nice feeling, but sometimes it can be just, it's learning. It's just all part of the process.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But finding out who you are, I think, is a big question for student athletes, and just I would say just people more broadly, like trying to navigate in this world. So, what do you think helped you find that? Was it with tennis? Was it more of those personal obstacles?
I think I am one of my greatest, I guess, one of the tools that has helped me, but also one of my possible downfalls is that I do compare myself a lot to like, what am I doing? What is everybody else doing? Kind of analyzing the environment around me. But the way it helped me in this scenario was I moved into this house my freshman year. So I actually only lived on campus for one semester.
Oh, that's nice.
And then, yeah, and then I was not my speed, but I moved off and I was in this campus of all upperclassmen, and Teddy Batankova was one of my roommates, and she was PSAC president at the time. She was multi-sports camp director for Dominican athletics. And those of you who know what I've done, that sounds very familiar to stuff that I have done and that I do. And it was like finding like, okay, this is what she's doing. This is how she's spending her time. And then taking that, but not running with it. Then I just started taking more time for myself. Like when I was driving here, there's China Camp Beach that's like 10 minutes away.
Super close.
And that used to be, I would literally just go sit there and think, which doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah.
But once I found inspiration in the people around me, and I was like, okay, what they're doing is super cool, what they're doing. And then just sit with myself and figure out if it was something that I really wanted for myself. And if it was, like, rest assured I was going 100% full speed at getting that goal.
No, so you hit on two things really important. The first one is when you're observing what other people are doing and just pick and choose what it is that you want to take and then tweak it for yourself and what works for your schedule. I think that's a really good way to, yeah, when you're Teddy, right? What's the name? Wait, is this Gina or Teddy? Because like you did PSAC president, multi sports camps, and the sports.
Yeah.
So, but it's still making it your way. And anytime that you're doing something, it's going to have your own special twist to it. And finding time for yourself. That's another really important thing. And a recurring theme for people that are on the show have talked about this is maximizing that time because it's very, very important. Mm-hmm. Whether it's that China camp, whether it's a park nearby. For me, it's Andy's, which is right down there. I go sit there and grab a coffee, go for a walk. Like, those things are super helpful.
Yeah.
You have to have those times.
No, and it's like interesting because I don't think you realize how valuable that time is until you start prioritizing that time. Because I am the type of person who puts way too much on her plate at one time. Then might be okay. And so when I start prioritizing that self time and like reflection and getting into my own head, not getting into my own head, but sorting through what's already in the head, it makes you more productive in every other area of your life.
I've found that I've had to upgrade from a plate to a tray. The plate wasn't holding enough for me. So now I have a tray, and even that's getting too full. So I'm not sure at some point I keep adding things on, even to this day. Like right now, if someone throws me an opportunity or something, like I'm going to find a way to make it work. And at some point, I'm going to have to look at cuts, but that's a whole other discussion. But I thought it was funny with the plate. So now speaking to some of your highlights and achievements in the college career, and you're still a senior and you're chasing more right now, what sticks out to you as the highlight of your college journey?
Oh, gosh. There's a lot. There's a lot that I'm honestly proud of for myself getting there because, like I said, freshman year was an adjustment for me. By the end of the year, I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like what am I doing here? Like what, like I was very lost, and my parents were like, Gina, like you have a huge opportunity. My brother transferred out of his school where he played sports like after a semester, and they were like, you just got to keep going, keep giving it a chance. So I think my highlight would be turning around in my second year and starting to take advantage of more opportunities. That's when I got involved in PSAC. That's when I took a leadership role on my tennis team. I changed my major to psychology, to double major in psychology and social justice. And like, I almost accidentally fell into this pattern where I was like exclusively doing things I was super passionate about.
That's amazing.
And I think so. I guess just mark my whole sophomore year as the highlight for me, because that's when I just started taking advantage of what was around me. And because of that, because I was making the most out of what I didn't know was going to be a great situation for me, I was like, an unsure situation, call it, because I took the time to make the most out of it and find those opportunities. Now it's like I'm here and I am busy. I'm super happy with where I'm at. Like, again, I'm busy, but I'm doing everything that I like and everything that I want to do. And there's more of a clear path. I'm not lost. I'm just busy, which is very, very preferable for me. And I think it shows a lot about the difference between the Gina who is fresh out of Idaho and the Gina who's about to graduate.
Absolutely. No, there's no question. And something you're speaking to, so important, is being able to do things that you're passionate about, even if it's a lot of things and the tray is completely overfilled. If it's things that you're passionate about, it makes the time pass, and if you know that it's worth doing. So my question for you is, how did you format a schedule and a day and a life that you're doing things you're passionate about, even at in college?
I guess it was just taking on one thing at a time. So like I said, I think the tray analogy is great. Like I think I've upgraded to a tray too.
You think so?
But it's all about, it's like a buffet, right? Like you're taking, it's like Amy Hunkelman uses the buffet methodology, I guess. But it's taking one thing at a time. So even though I am just like you and I have trouble saying no to literally anything, I'll only say yes to one thing at a time. So it's like I'm either getting back to someone or I'm saying, yeah, I'll do that. But if I just committed to, like, say, PSAC president, like right as I started taking on that role, I would not have gone and been like, okay, I'm going to go do this internship right now. Like I always give myself like a little bit of space to find my routine with that. So then when it's like, okay, another opportunity comes along, okay, do I feasibly have time for this in my schedule, or is it something that like is going to take a lot out of me? And so for example, recently a high school tennis team had reached out to me about being an assistant coach of theirs, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like I love the opportunity. I love working with high schoolers. And then we started going through the whole process, and I sat there and I was like, when am I going to have time to go coach a high school tennis team? Like, I don't even have time to, like, sit down. Like, I literally, it's also learning how to respectfully decline an offer and just go back. And they were super nice about it, but I just went back to them and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I can't make this time commitment anymore. So it's about analyzing, like, again, going back to the alone time, knowing where you're at, knowing what you already have going on, and then finding a way to like respectfully and clearly communicate if it's something that you just can't put on your plate.
That's something that I think I still struggle with, is saying no to things, but not even saying no, but just being real with myself. Is this something I can do while also keeping a high standard of everything else I'm already committed to, and also not like double booking, or where if I'm committing to coaching, I want to be there for as many days as possible. And that's something that I just found. I was assistant coaching at Mark Day for the cross country team, and I couldn't make every single practice. But now for the basketball team, if I'm a head coach, I can't miss any of those practices. So that would require me to maybe offload something else on the tray if I do want to coach basketball. But it's tough. It's sacrifice and figuring out what it is you want to do.
It is trial by error, because sometimes you don't know until it's already happening.
Oh, right. So I think we're already touching on it quite a bit with time management. What are the tools that you use to successfully manage your time?
Very literally put, Google Calendar.
Dude, I ask one second. I ask every single guest this question, and it's only because I want to hear, and this is not, like, I did not vet Gina on this. I'm genuinely asking you. Now, please continue.
No, it's Google Calendar. I have to set up my little reminders, and even with homework, like I think if I lost access to my Google Calendar, I would be like in complete like turmoil. And so, because I have all my assignments and their due dates, I can set little reminders, and it is just a game changer. I used to have a calendar where I'd write my weekly schedule, and then a planner where I had my whole schedule, and then my Google Calendar. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm spending more time writing my schedule than I am actually performing my schedule.
Paid for by True to Life podcast. No, the only reason why I'm saying that is because me and my brother have made jokes about how many times I plug Google Calendar, and anyone listening, if they don't have Google Calendar and are still wondering why their scheduling is a problem, this is why I bring it up every time, just in case someone brand new is listening. Google Calendar, it's so helpful, and it's the only way that I can manage everything is that I'm doing. So I'm so glad that you
it is. Consider me. I endorse Google Calendar.
I love it. All right, so pivoting to PSAC. Obviously, you were involved as a student leader, but now being president, talk to me about that journey and what you hope for that group over your term and then for the future outlook.
Yeah, I think when I joined PSAC...
First of all, we should explain what PSAC is
to the listener. PSAC is the Penguin Student Athlete Advisory Committee. So how I explained it to everyone is it's basically the Student Council of Athletics. So we plan all the events, get all the athletes together, try and get them engaged in our community and the broader campus community. I don't think I'm missing anything.
Perfect.
There's quite a few of us in there. I think when I joined PSAC my sophomore year, it was exactly my speed. Like, I'm an extrovert. I'm just like a natural leader. Like, I love planning. I love delegate. I just love doing that stuff. I'm one of those people. So when I joined, I knew it was my spot, and I knew that I wanted to find a leadership role within the committee. And my roommate at the time, who was president, I mean, she was a great, example to follow, because she was obviously doing all these things and she really cared about PSAC and she really cared about everything she was doing. And I saw her leadership style. And so then moving into my junior year, I knew I wanted to be either VP or president. And obviously IO had stepped into the presidential role, so I think I was the only one in the committee who was like, please, like, I want to be your VP.
That's funny, because I feel almost like that's how I got stepped into it, as no one was really too interested, and I was like, I don't mind, I'll take the little extra workload.
I was vetting you before you even knew you wanted it. I was like, who do I want to be my VP? And then stepping in, and then I realized, because I started just having more conversations with Kellis and having more conversations with Amy, and I was like, I can actually, like, not do whatever I want, but, like, if I want to make something happen, I can actually make it happen. And this is the space for that.
Yes.
And so it was like my junior year, I took PSAC, and I think people listen to passion. I'm like, you need to put that on a t-shirt or something.
No, it's great. Keep going.
Yeah, no, because I think people were getting behind some of the things I was saying. And obviously you were in PSAC last year, and there was a little bit of like miscommunication. Like, there's always going to be bumps in the road, but if there's like a passionate leader, people are there. And that's when we started getting like athlete introductions for all sports instead of just the winter sports at Midnight Mayhem. We got to introduce all the sports. We had the dodgeball draft day that was a huge hit.
The little Instagram
Instagram live. Yeah, that's going to be a little bit more well planned.
I think the social media presence we've really expanded too.
Yeah, like it was. I think when I joined PSAC, and not that the leaders before me, I know they had just as much. No one's PSAC president if they don't want to be PSAC president. But being in that role where I wanted to be there, and I think setting the example that like PSAC is a place where you can have fun and you can do what you want. And we just started making all these changes. And then this year we're going to do fun things like the Penguin Olympics and all that. And it's really like, I love helping other people have fun. Like the Midnight Mayhem, when everybody was like singing to the songs I auxed, I was like, okay, this is my PSAC heart. Like, I am
glowing.
No, I was like, I'm so happy. So I guess that's been my goal with PSAC, is just to build community in athletics and around campus. And I think
was the movie night too. Like, just seeing people show out for that stuff was big. And that was one of the first times early in the year too, seeing something that we all got behind and we showed up for and we put time into, and see it respond, like to create a safe space for student athletes to come watch a movie, hang out, get some candy. Like, that really showed me, okay, we can really do something here, even if it's just a movie night, but expanding that for even every event, like that level of focus and energy. It's huge.
It's all about like just creating the environment you want to be a part of. And it's like, I knew I wanted to, I'm very good. It's weird. I'm a very good people person when I'm like in a group setting, like in the sense of PSAC, but then you put me in just a room of student athletes with no clear purpose, and I'm like filled with anxiety. So it's like I wanted these events like so that I could connect more with the people around me. And so taking the time to plan them and then like seeing how much other people were craving that environment too, like that is exactly why I'm in PSAC. Like if I could pinpoint it, it's just like having a place for people to connect with each other.
And this is like, I recommend these type of groups, and this is at the college level, but in high school I had opportunities to do this, even going back to middle school. And this maybe reflect on myself because I am looking for those opportunities, but even for those that, you know, might not be as extroverted, there are these kind of groups that you can get involved with. I think back to middle school, there was something called the Peacekeepers on campus, and I got selected by my teachers to do that. And that was my first example of working with groups and learning something and trying to make a difference. And I almost feel like since that, I found myself in these positions, then high school, now here at Dominican. It's like, this is really cool. It's like, this is almost like it's an opportunity to make a difference.
Yeah. And I mean, I think there are a lot of great leaders inside our committee who aren't extroverted. Like, I mean, we have 6 or some different committees, and so it's like obviously you and we are not doing everything around there, but there are people like the silent workers almost that are going out there, and like Alicia with the Cam Food Drive, like
she's a silent workhorse.
Oh my gosh,
she takes care of business. Shout out Alicia.
Yeah, shout out Alicia, because she does so much for PSAC and she does so much for community outreach, and like she's one of those people who she's not gonna then go like say, hi, I'm Alicia and here's all the amazing things I'm doing. Like she's the type of person that you shout out because she doesn't need the recognition to keep doing it. So it's just like groups like PSAC are great to grow and to learn and to do cool things, even if you're not introverted, extroverted, anything like that.
You know what's funny? This was not planned, but you can tell we're both pretty passionate about PSAC and just the idea of student athlete engagement, and it's no accident. But yeah, just for the sake of time, I want to pivot and talk about your major, what you're studying, and how the academic experience has been at Dominican and college more broadly.
Yeah, so I am on like a pre-law track. I'm double majoring in social justice and psychology with my minor in pre-law, so I'm applying for law schools right now. And I think at Dominican, like I said, I came in, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I think I was an education major, honestly, when I first committed. And then
change it.
I know. And then I came here and I took a service learning course where I was actually in the community doing stuff. And then I would come back to class and reflect and do it, like write about it. And that's when I realized, I was like, okay, social justice, like, okay, this is something that I actually want to spend my time doing. Like I was seeing tangible results from going into the community, and it's not like math where they're like, you can use it in everyday life, but only if you're an engineer or a math teacher or something like that. Like I was seeing the results of all my studies. And so I switched, and then I don't really know how I ended up in psychology. I think I was just interested in it, and I was like, I just really want to do this. I had the time. And then now it's like I'm only at class a couple times a week because my whole education is surrounding actually going into the community and learning. And I interned at the public defender's office and now the probation department and youth transforming justice, which is like a alternative sentencing program for youth so they don't have to have anything on their record. And then finding all that, it's like Dominican provided me the opportunity to dive into what I was really, really passionate about. And this goes back to then the athletic department where it's like I joined a tennis program where it's like my coaches have been championing like me going and finding all these opportunities and doing these great things with my education. So now I'm leaving Dominican, and not only do I have a good tennis trajectory record to bring with me, but like a great tennis thing, but like also I have a strong education I can stand behind and real life experience like being in the community. So I guess that's a theme you can notice is I'm all about like I'm a very hands-on person. I love going out into the community, whether it be Dominican or San Rafael or anything around here. I just love doing things.
Of course, me too.
Yeah.
Reflecting back from the leadership side, academic, sports, what would be the advice to Gina coming into college at Idaho? Like from the piece of ice that would hit as many points as possible?
Yeah, I think just be flexible. So I think I learned the flexibility piece way later in my college experience than I would have liked to. And it's just being okay making mistakes and being flexible and knowing that the path you're on right now may not be the path that's set in stone for you, but learning from yourself, learning from those around you, and just always being willing to take the extra step for yourself, to just do something you actually want to do. And I think if Gina freshman year knew that going in, I might have had a little bit more fun.
You think she would listen to you?
I don't think she would listen to me.
If an envelope got dropped to her and it was in a letter, you think she would disregard it or take it into account?
No, she would definitely disregard it. Gina's very stubborn. I was like, she would be like, okay, this is cool, but I think everything happened as it should have, and I'm kind of glad it did, because I think I'm a better person because of it.
That's fun. Awesome. All right, I have some fun questions and some rapid fire before we close.
Oh, yay.
If you could meet any professional tennis player, who would it be and what would you ask them?
Oh, my gosh. Probably Naomi Osaka. And I would just ask her, like, what she would be doing if she was not a professional tennis player, because she's a really interesting, if you look at her career, it's so interesting. Has great style, great charisma, but she's like so introverted. She has a lot of social anxiety, and she's just always, she has good interviews, but she also fights with people a lot just because she doesn't like being there. So I'm just like, how would she change her trajectory? Because I'm kind of convinced she maybe doesn't want to be a professional tennis player, but she's really good.
Oh, that's funny. What would be your go-to pre-match meal?
This is Christina, if you're listening, I didn't say this, but definitely like chicken strips and fries, like something like that's totally not good for me.
What about a post-game meal then? Because you can probably get a little more devious on a post-game meal.
No, post-game meals, like where I hit In-N-Out or something. Like my post-pre-game diet is not great, but if you look at my performance, it's a method. I eat so healthy, like, throughout the week, but then when it's like game time, I'm like, okay, time to get to business. Like, it doesn't work for everybody.
Absolutely.
But it works for me.
I think everyone's different. What is your favorite book or movie?
Oh gosh. The Perks of Being a Wallflower is my favorite movie, but my favorite book is Verity by Colleen Hoover. I don't know if anybody, it's so good. It's good.
It's good. It's good. A good sign when someone has a favorite book like in their back pocket, because it's a good sign. Yeah. You're reading. Reading is important. Shout out my mom. All right, rapid fire questions. What is your favorite music genre?
Oh gosh, country music.
Idaho.
Idaho. I mean, it's written in the stars for me.
You have a favorite country artist?
Oh gosh. I'm
just ripping through.
No, I actually don't think I have a favorite country artist, but my type of country is the very Idaho country, so I don't tell many people that that's my music.
It's all good. We have our podcast.
It's only on the podcast. It's on the pod. It's
okay. What's the best place to eat out here in this area that you can only get here and not in Idaho?
Oh gosh. In San Rafael, it's soul food, but I know a lot of people have probably said that, so I'll go to the broader San Francisco area. Oh my gosh, it's this Los Moles.
Oh, I haven't tried this place yet.
You haven't tried Los? Okay, well, conveniently, it's right down the street from soul food.
Really?
And it's a Mexican restaurant. You literally watch them make the quesadillas right there.
Good to know.
So good.
Yeah. What was the first thing? What was the first thing that you said? Now I'm blanking. In San Francisco? Was there another one in San Francisco?
No, I was gonna suggest, but then I thought of Los Moles. And I was like, wait, like, wait, I'm going back.
Oh, for sure. What would be the most inspiring sports moment? And this could be in college at Dominican, or it could be more on a professional Olympic scale even. Who knows?
Oh, gosh.
Making you dig deep into
I know.
Into the archives here.
I'm like, honestly, one of the teams in our conference, Academy of Art, won the Pac West tournament last year. And although it's like, dang, okay, it wasn't the Dominican Penguins, but they don't have a men's tennis program. And a lot of the team all the teams at this conference tournament, except for them and us, have a men's team that's out there and just being really rowdy and like supporting them. And it's like changes the whole environment. And they just came out. Nobody expected them to win this tournament. And they came out and beat like APU, Concordia, Point Loma, like all of the top teams in our conference, and ended up going to nationals. And I just remember the moment they won. We had just lost, so we were kind of sad.
Yeah.
But when they won, it was like, it was electric. Like, it was, everybody was cheering. Well, us and them were cheering. Everybody else was kind of sad. But just seeing a program that's all females, like, persevere past, like, these men's teams are just brutal. Like, I mean, you've probably endured some heckling at basketball.
Yeah,
like, that doesn't happen in tennis until you get to this tournament.
I think Dominican, I wish they had a men's tennis program. I think that would be good.
No, I wish they did, and they used to. And then it got cut, but I think it actually might be coming back. But regardless, seeing another school that only has women tennis athletes like take the conference title and go to nationals was just super inspiring. And so it's the Penguins' turn this year.
Absolutely. Let's go. Before I do a little bit of November 5th election awareness, which I feel the need to do at the end of this episode, and the Voters March too, we can talk a little bit about. I wanted to, we'll do that first. So we had the election Voters March, which I think was very good. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to be there. I had prior commitments, but what was that like for you? Even though maybe we didn't get the turnout we wanted to, but just to have that voice and be able to speak your mind in results to this massive election coming up.
Yeah, no, it was definitely really powerful for me because I'm a Jewish female and from Boise, Idaho. Like, the importance of voting, if you're listening to this, please, it's not too late to register. You can go to a polling place on election day. But having that space to speak and to be around other people who cared just as much as I did was really powerful. And yeah, and seeing the mayor there and getting to like ask her questions before I had filled out my ballot, even though I was probably going to vote for her anyways. But just being in that space is super powerful because it's people who want to have conversations. And that's the most important part of elections and voting and staying aware and doing everything for your civic duty is having conversations and listening to other people.
100%. To piggyback on it, I have my ballot actually sitting over there. This is my first election that I'm due to vote in, which is really exciting for me and such a monumental election coming up. And the only thing I would have to say is it's a real special thing that we're all able to, quote unquote, make our voices heard, regardless of electoral college system. We're only 7 states are really deciding our election. I believe it's an amazing opportunity that we have, and it should not be taken for granted, given, voting rights and some people never having a right to vote, that we can, punch a vote in and that is so important. And I think everyone should take advantage of that right. And the second thing I would add is the propositions too, I think are overlooked oftentimes. And that's where a lot of things that take place at the local and state level are super important. Funding for housing, funding for, low-income communities. Like, you never know what are on some of these propositions. So take the extra 10, 15, 20 minutes, try to research some of the propositions and go and cast your ballots. That would be my final message on that.
Yeah, no, one more thing is, like, it's not a mistake that people have, like, fought so hard for so many years for the right to vote. So if not voting for yourself, there are people around you in the LGBTQ community, Jewish people, your Jewish friends, women. There are a lot of people around you who are counting on you to cast your vote, and taking that extra 20, 30 minutes to do it it just shows you're willing to be there for the people around you.
I would say I have one more thing. This is very, very, very important to me. The United States, as Americans, we're voting. The United States is a global superpower. So as Americans individually, what we're voting for affects our globe and our planet at large. So remember that you're voting for the United States as a whole and how we interact with other countries and how we want our country to move forward and continue with progress. And that would be my ultimate goal, is see forward progress.
Agree.
Leave it there. And encourage you to make your own decisions and vote. That's all that matters. Yep. All right, Gina, in closing thoughts, podcast-wise, I appreciate getting that out. I needed to before Election Day. This will be released today, November 1st, so still have time. what would be your closing message? Sorry, very knee-jerk turn here, but closing message to student athletes listening out there. What would you have to tell them?
Yeah, I think my message to you guys would be enjoy your time. You only get 4 or 5 years as a student athlete. Find what you love and put 100% into it. Don't do anything that makes you unhappy. Find your path and go 100% at it, no matter what it is. And also cast your ballots. Vote.
I love it. That brings episode 49 to a close. We'll have episode 50 so soon. I'm so excited. Thank you for all those that are listening. In-person interviews are back, and I'm very excited. Podcast is going to be humming again. So thank you for the support and listening. Please share this episode, and remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, everything about Gina will be in the episode notes, so feel free to find her there. Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much, and we'll be back here next time.